I think one of my great frustrations as a Dallas Stars fan is finally coming to a head, and I'm not sure how it's going to end, but I want it to end. Um, this team has been frustrating in that it's not a horrible team, it's not a great team by any stretch, which is why they barely miss the playoffs regularly, or they make it in and they get knocked out pretty quickly. And I don't see anything in Dallas this year that indicates this year's going to be any different. Either they're going to end up just missing the playoffs, or they get in maybe as a wild card and then they get knocked out, because there's no depth here. So Jim Lights made his comments a couple weeks ago. Was it? Yeah, it was before I went to Vegas. Jim Lights made his comments, so it's a couple weeks ago, regarding Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin and how they had to pick it up. Now, I kind of agreed, kind of sorta, and Seguin and Benn definitely, and in Sagan's case, he has picked it up since those comments came out. Benn, of course, got hurt. Now, when you look at this lineup, though, you can kind of see why they're going to struggle at times. Benn, Seguin, Radulov. That's a great line. It's a great first line, and Radulov has been their MVP. Alex Radulov, when healthy, has been the best player in Dallas's lineup, which is high praise for Radulov and mild criticism of Benn and Seguin. And again, it's mild criticism because, again, Jamie Benn is my favorite Dallas Star, not named Mike Modano, ever. He has been fantastic. And that's ahead of guys like Jamie Langenbrunner and other Dallas Stars players who I've absolutely loved over the years. Seguin, I find mildly frustrating. I did when he was in Boston, and I have in Dallas. The talent is there. I sometimes wonder about the intensity, and maybe the comments by Jim Lights were going to help him with his intensity. Now, the comments by Lights, you could sort of go, old man yells at cloud, we'll ignore it. We could do that. But it's come out that he made a statement like that's curse-riddled and anti-Benn and Seguin with the blessing of the owner of the team, Tom Gagliardi. I knew I was going to have trouble with that, even on a full night's sleep. Absolutely, Gagliardi. Anyways, the owner's name notwithstanding, they're frustrated with the return on investment. Now, this year, of course, and I mentioned this before, Dallas is paying out a salary of $85 million to these guys. So the cap hit $79.5 million, but they're actually paying these guys $83 million. And the expectation was Dallas would not be playing for a wild card. They'd be one of the better teams in the league. If ownership thought they were getting one of the better teams in the league, no. I remember at the start of the year, I picked them as number 4 in the Central. I had them ahead of Colorado, and I had them just as a wild card, but I had St. Louis in third, so that just throws all that out of whack. But Dallas hasn't really been good enough for a long time. And when you look at this lineup, you can see it. So you got Benn, Seguin, and Radulov. Great. Second line, Nichushkin, Faksa, Pitlick. I love Faksa. Radek Faksa, one of my favorite guys. Now, these lines change. These lines are going to change, and these are just used as an example, just as a setup. Pitlick, hard worker, doesn't belong in the top 6. Should be a third-line guy, not top 6. Nichushkin, I am stunned. He's still a member of the Dallas Stars. I'm not sure why. I'm honestly not sure why. I don't know why they brought him back. When he went back to Russia, when he went to the KHL, I said, okay, good. And I remember people saying, hey, Lindy Ruff doesn't play him enough. You need to have some faith. This kid's going to be a scorer with the right coach, baby, I tell you. Yeah, he's got 2 assists in his last 10 games. The numbers after the players' names, that's how many points they've got in the team's last 10 games. So for Jamie Benn, that's not at every game he's played. It's in the team's last 10 games. So he's got 4 goals, 2 assists. Seguin, 5 goals, 4 assists. And Radulov, 4 goals, 8 assists. As I said, for most of the season, Radulov's been their best player. Fox at 2 goals, 4 assists, which is remarkable because his wingers haven't been great. Pitlick, 3 goals, 2 assists. As I said, he's a hard worker. I like Pitlick. I like him more on the third line than the second. I think if you've got him in your top 6, I think that's trouble. Third line, Spezza, goal and 2 assists in his last 10 games. I have said for a while, Jason Spezza, I'm not a fan overall. Not as a scoring forward anymore, not in the league. So it ends up with him as third line and Fox as second line. Fox plays in more situations as well. Guy's a horse, but he's not really a goal scorer. He's not really a huge point producer either. And in a league where we're seeing goals up, they're not up for Dallas. Shore, no points in the last 10. Condra, who's been in the minors, come back up. No points in his last 10 either. Janmark, 1 goal, 3 assists in his last 10. I've been very vocal about how I want to see more out of Matthias Janmark. Hintz, I love Rupe Hintz's moxie. I think he's got a really solid work ethic, but the offense hasn't been there. 2 assists in the last 10 games for Dallas. Como, 1 goal, 1 assist. It's an okay top 12, but they need another star winger. Dallas needs another star scoring winger. They don't have that. You look at Calgary, you look at Colorado, you look at the teams like Tampa. They've got their number 1 lines, but there are still guys who can produce on the other lines. Now, I've talked about how Colorado's very top-heavy, and they are, but they still have better depth scoring than does Dallas. And this depth scoring is an issue. Now, what that does is, it means if you're playing against the Dallas Stars tonight, you just have to worry about that first line. That's why they try to break the first line up. That's why coach after coach after coach tries to break up their scorers on different lines, and it doesn't work. So they end up back together. Now, their blue line's been solid. Lindell, 2 assists in the last 10. For anybody who's watched enough Dallas this year, you know that Esa Lindell's had an amazing season, likely their best defenseman. Klingberg, 5 assists in their last 10 games. He's been good since he came back. He's a very good defenseman. Heiskanen, of course, off to the All-Star game. Flashy defenseman, 2 goals. I still have Lindell as the better defenseman, but it's just barely over Heiskanen overall. Polak, 1 assist. He's been solid. He's not a top 4 guy, though. Carrick, nothing in the last 10. He's been injured a lot. Fadoon, 1 goal, 1 assist. I love Taylor Fadoon, but he's better off as a number 7. Which brings you to the injured list, where Mathot has been residing a lot. Stephen Johns, same. Dickinson's down there right now. Dickinson is not a scoring forward for the most part either. Martin Hansel, he came back, played well, and then got hurt. And we've seen guys like Gurianov being up, plays well for a couple of games, and then, eventually he ends up back in the minors. It's a frustrating pattern. The only thing in my eyes that keeps Dallas afloat, over their last 10, Bishop, 4-2-1 with a .925 save percentage. Hudobin, 2-1. .974 save percentage over those last 10 games. When you're looking at the Dallas Stars, their goaltending has become their strength. Their scoring, not as much. Now, if I'm talking about Dallas 2 years ago, goaltending was the weakness. When you have Niemi and you have Lettinen, you have 2 guys that aren't quite good enough to be number 1 as your goaltenders, but you're paying them $9 million a year. Jim Nill fixes that problem, and now we got others. And we've got a team that's getting paid a lot of money. $83 million for this team. And they're a playoff team right now, but again, with their record on the road and with this depth scoring, I don't know that they can stay in it. And then the speculation now is that because ownership is mad at Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin, that one or the other or both can end up finding themselves traded at the end of the year. And I'm saying right now, if ownership decides that Benn and Seguin are the problem, then we're in Ottawa. Where last year at around this time of year, there was a rumor that Eugene Melnyk went into the Ottawa locker room and tore a strip off Erik Karlsson. You think you're better than everybody else around here, you're just another player kind of thing, and kind of stuck it to him by trading him this year. How'd that turn out for Ottawa? Not so good. Dallas could find themselves in an Ottawa situation. While I will agree that Seguin and Benn aren't scoring as well as we'd like to see them score, this team is not made up well enough to be a contender. If ownership looked at this lineup coming into this season and said, we're going to be a contender, I don't know what to tell ownership. And again, if ownership's making that decision that, we'll just have to move one or the other after the season if this crap continues, fine, you move Seguin. Who's your number 1 center? Faxa? Are you going to get back a number one center for Seguin? Highly unlikely if you devalue him by talking about how he's not playing very well. This is the problem. My car is a piece of crap. It falls apart. It's crap. Do you want to buy it? $10,000. You just said it's crap. Players, commodity the same way. You can't crap talk your players and then say, hey, you want Seguin? It's going to cost you a first, a prospect, and we'd like your top center. Because he's really, really good. Ignore everything we said about him. He's really, really good. We like his work. Why are you trading him? Well, because he's crap. Damn it! Promised I wouldn't say it again. Benn, if they trade Jamie Benn, and I'm saying this right now as a guy who supported Dallas back to the days of Minnesota. The first year I watched hockey, 1981, Minnesota North Stars. Just love the guys. They fell apart against the New York Islanders, but that underdog team was fun to watch. I have followed this team every year since then. If they trade Jamie Benn, it's going to make that shaky. It's going to make my fandom of the Dallas Stars shaky. I have been critical of Jamie Benn. I have said Jamie Benn doesn't score as much as people think he does. He did have that Art Ross trophy in 2014, 2015. I know that was 4 years ago. I've moved on. And yet, he is one of the better forwards in the league. He is still a guy that coaches before a game say, okay, we're playing against the Stars. Don't make that guy angry. That's still a thing. And the reason why is because much like Jarome Iginla, when he's not angry, when he's not intense, he can kind of float around the ice a little bit. But as soon as you nail him and he wakes up, suddenly you have a major concern. I used to have that with Jarome Iginla numerous times against Vancouver, where I'd be like, don't wake him up, don't wake him up. And then there'd be a hit or something would happen, and next thing you know, the game gets out of control. So we'll see what happens with them, and what does Radulov think of all this? So that's the other indicator here. So, all right, so you've got Benn and Seguin right here. You guys suck. We've decided we don't like how you guys are playing. Fine. What does Radulov think? Because that's your whole first line. Nichushkin, he's going to go back to the KHL. I don't see how, with the production he's had this year, that Dallas wants to keep him or he wants to stay in the NHL. I think Nichushkin goes back to the KHL. So now you got, what, Foxa. Spezza's contract's running out. I can't see them bringing him back. And where are the top-notch prospects for Dallas up front? This blue line is pretty good. This goaltending, solid. Dallas has completely reversed themselves in 2 years. It reminds me of the Toronto Blue Jays. You have pitching, you have hitting. You can't have both. You either have a team that hits a ton, but the pitching's crap, or you have a team with great pitching and they can't hit. I noticed that with the Blue Jays, and it was frustrating for me, even though I wasn't a Blue Jays fan. But I'd be like, this team can pitch this year. This is great. And then the next year, like, where did the pitching go? Oh, but the hitting's great. And Dallas is kind of the same thing. They had really solid forward depth, decent attack. The blue line was mediocre, and the goaltending was at times abysmal. And now it's kind of switched, where the goaltending's bailing them out. Their defense is pretty solid, but the scoring just, I don't know where it's going to come from. So that's my biggest question with the Benn and Seguin thing. If the Stars decide to get rid of them because this team misses the playoffs again, where do you trade them? What do you get back? And does it improve the team? Or is it just a matter of ownership having some kind of a grudge and trading guys out they don't like? Because how did that work out for Ottawa? Yeah. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And hey, it's kind of the state of the Dallas Stars, which, again, they're in the playoffs, but for how long? Let me know your thoughts. I'll talk to you again soon.